All right, hello everybody. Welcome. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Our November 22nd Board of Education regular meeting at 7 p.m. Ms. Hageman, can you please call the roll?
Mr. King?
Here.
Mrs. Reese?
Present.
Mrs. Sebastian?
Here.
Mr. Elam?
Here.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Here.
Excellent. We're all here. Y'all will please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Looking at additions to the agenda, I see we have two up there already. Do we have any other additions to the agenda? All right. 3, okay. Next is hearing of the public regarding agenda items. I didn't have any slips for agenda. Anything from the public regards to the agenda? Hearing none, moving forward, we'll start with number 4 and turn it over to Mr. First.
Thank you. On the agenda this evening, administrative reports. Letter A will be an update from our guidance counselors. This is Molly Wiedemann and this is Catherine Burrell. Thank you for being here this evening, ladies.
Trying to be louder than the cheering.
You want the mouse so you can click?
Yes,
or-
it would be a good mouse.
You can.
Thank
I'm happy
you.
to turn over technology.
We like to pretend we're good at it. All right, so I'm Molly Wiedemann. I am the school counselor for last names A through K.
And I'm Catherine Burrell, and I have last names L3C.
So far this year, we've had 40 new enrollments that we've been processing throughout the beginning of the year. I'd probably say that's the highest we've been at in the beginning. And that number is still growing. In fact, Mrs. Burrell had one new student today. So can't wait to see what it grows to.
So far this year, we've done a variety of different classroom guidance lessons. It's important for us to be in the classroom and talk to students, and we've covered quite a bit so far this year, so we're pretty excited about it. We've done focus mainly on 9 through 12 right now. One thing that we did was introduce our new virtual office. So basically what this is, it's a great resource for not only students, but parents as well. I'll actually click on it here in a little bit. We can actually record how many visits we have. So we've had in the last 2 months, 329 visits. So it's pretty nice to see it being utilized so much. You want to? Yeah. So we always feel like there's just so much information to provide to students and parents, just a variety of different things. Not only is there so much information, but it's like forever changing, I feel like too. So graduation requirements, CCP, just different college and career exploration. Everything is basically in one area, and that's what we like about it. That way parents and students know where to go to find information. It's accurate, we update it. It's actually all just live links, to be honest, too. So it's really convenient. Each class has its own like resource area. So each grade level, they're focusing on different things, whether it be study skills and time management, or maybe it's college and career, or self-assessments and things like that. So we really like it, and we've been inviting, students and parents to check it out. So if you haven't yet, it's on the Bethel website. You can get on there and click around and see all the different things. We've also done a review of our updated transcripts and new graduation requirements. We felt it was super important, especially now graduation requirements have changed. And so what we did is we took transcripts for students, their actual transcripts, had them look at it. We went over Bethel graduation requirements, but also the state of Ohio graduation requirements. The seals are new to everybody, us as included. And so we really wanted to hit hard on what those seals were, how students earn them, and why it's important to get those for graduation. While we did that, we introduced these student success plans. And what this is we had each student create one of these that we met with. And they kind of went through to document the credits that they've earned, their testing scores. They went through and looked at different things that they could be doing for freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, whatever it may be. Just kind of gives them a better idea of where they stand for graduation requirements. And then we also hit on those seals as well. If you're not familiar with the seals, there's 12 of them. And so it's a lot of information for students, but we try to make sure we made it easy for them to understand what they need to do and what they can be qualified for. And then Molly will explain a little bit more about the seals here in a little bit. So we've also done just some career assessments, interest inventories, getting kids to think about what they want to do when they graduate. The future planning in general. Our goal is that students have a plan when they leave Bethel High School. So are they going to do one of three things? Are they going to enroll in a college or university? Are they going to enlist in the military? Or are they going to be employed after high school? So our goal is to figure out what they want to do and what their goal is and help them get there.
So along with that, we've really met with most of our seniors at this point for senior meetings. During this time, we talk about their future plans, what steps they should be taking in the fall to get to that. We talk about their credits, their testing, all that good stuff, and see if they want to, retake the ACT and just general things like that. We've started a comprehensive school counseling program document that Mr. Swope has highly encouraged us to start. This really is just an overarching summary of what we do during the school year. It'll include a calendar of all our different events and classroom visits, our guidance lesson plans, just everything all together. So that's what that is. We started a small group. It's mostly 9th graders, and we meet once a week on Tuesdays, and we just go over study skills, organization, time management to hopefully improve some of these grades that they have. We've had 14 colleges come to visit us. Some of them are in the classroom in Ms. Brewer's room, and some of them were during the lunch period and 5 military reps. And one of the college representatives actually said that it was the best lunch visit that they've had at a school in their 20-some years of being a college rep. So very proud of that. We hosted a FAFSA completion night that had 20 attendees. We had the PSAT that had 30 participants between 2 test dates. And we did 2 days just so everyone could participate with the various things they have going on during school. Something we've really wanted to get going was job shadowing. So we've reached out to various businesses and such to start that with our students, because Ms. Burrell and I always say that we wish we would have done more of this before choosing our careers or our majors in college. So our first one was with the Tipp City Police Department, and we had 2 seniors go on that, and they got to see at the ground level what being a police officer is. So half of the day they got to do a ride along, and then the other half of the day they actually got to be in dispatch. Thank you. So they loved that experience, and that was pretty awesome. So finally, a big portion of our job this year has been seal tracking. This document is ever growing. Well, it essentially shows all the test scores for all the students are at-risk students that ODE is asking us to now show, and what seals they've earned. So we've had to pull from the athletic department, from various teachers that keep track of things, to start doing these seals. So it's going to be a lengthy process, and that's just our way that we've been able to kind of keep track of that.
So we do have a lot of things that we're looking forward to implementing the rest of this year, and then future years as well. A couple of things that we've talked about in our planning We want to do a college planning night for juniors and seniors next year. We do have a junior senior college planning guide right now that is on our virtual office, but just digging a little bit deeper in that and helping parents and students know what to be doing when to help them with that process, maybe even getting some admission representatives involved as well. College application day, we saw an example probably online somewhere where they had a bulletin board of all these QR codes and they just were the application for different schools. Seniors love to put off their applying and their scholarship completion. And so we want to designate some days to encourage students, okay, this is our application day. It's super easy. They all have their phones on them, pull their phones out, do the QR code and then apply. Same thing with scholarship completion day. I've done scholarships for several years now, and there's been so many times where no student has applied or filled out the application. And it can be frustrating because of, it's an opportunity that we don't want them to miss out on. So these are just days that we feel like will encourage the kids to actually participate and get things done. We would love to do a senior signing day at the end of the year. We've actually maybe talked to Damon about collaborating with him to do a really great senior signing day for students. We think that would be really fun. Resume completion activity. We think it's important for students to have a resume. Depending on what they want to do when they graduate, it's going to be helpful for them, maybe for applying to college and things like that. So sometimes they get a little lost on where to start. And so we want to do a completion activity to help them with that. We've been in classrooms a lot. I can say, doing this for several years and working with Mrs. Wiedemann in the past, we've never been able to get into the classroom as much as we have this year. So we're pretty excited about that. But for future planning, not only continuing that, but at the junior high level as well, focusing on the high school transition, studying skills, time management, organizational skills, just things that we can kind of be a little bit more proactive at the junior high level as they enter high school and they're getting all those high school credits and things like that. We also want to do feature groups. This is our first group that we've been running this year together, so we're excited for that. Like I said, maybe a high school transition group, coping with stress, along those lines. So yeah, hopefully we will have lots more to do.
And then finally, we just have some upcoming dates. Our College Credit Plus meeting, the first one of two, that'll be January 12th at 5:30. That's usually our most popular event. We will have a virtual 8th grade scheduling meeting so that parents can view it at their own leisure. And then we'll have a question box for questions that'll come out in early February. The sophomores will be visiting CTC November 30th, so that's coming up quick. And our freshmen this year, they unfortunately missed out on a visit last year, so they will get to do a visit. CTC reached out and we jumped on it. So that'll be January 26th. The 8th graders will go the 18th and 19th of January. The juniors will take the ASVAB January 12th, and then they'll take the ACT March 1st, and then finally our academic awards night, May 18th. So that's our upcoming stuff. Thanks.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate being here this evening. Board have any questions or comments for our two counselors?
I just was so impressed with the virtual office, and I know I communicated that to you, but I thought it just looked so fresh and had a lot of really neat things for the kids, and it was easy to use. So thank you for all the time you put in that. Obviously, you've done a lot of planning, and thank you, Mr. Swope, for encouraging them and supporting them. I agree with that for the virtual office. I was looking around on the website and it was just kind of fun.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah. And so I have a question about the job shadowing. Are you looking then for other professions to?
Yes.
Yeah. So
all sorts.
Yeah, we're trying to basically, if a student comes and says, this is what I'm interested in, we're using all of the resources that we have to find somebody that we can get them in contact with. I've even used my husband on and just looks like contractors. Our biggest thing, I think, like Mrs. Wiedemann said, like I went to school for nursing for a couple years, but
I started with chemistry.
She started in chemistry, and we swear if we would have maybe just spent a day kind of just seeing what they do on a daily basis, you know, that has a big impact on your decisions, you know, going into college. And so we basically have a working document where we're trying to make just contacts in the area and just keep those, you know, that communication with those employers so we can hopefully have more opportunities for our students.
So if you guys have anyone, let us know.
Are you able to use our people for some kids want to be teachers?
Mhm. We were going to have someone in the elementary, but unfortunately she was out. So, but yeah, anybody here, other schools, anything's great.
And we've actually, I know a teacher has done that, has used a high school student to grade, and so she's currently, so I know we've done that in the past. And I just want to thank the teachers too for having you guys in the classroom. I think that's great. I don't know, are you going to English classes or?
Yes,
homeroom or-
primarily.
Yeah,
So-
we usually do English.
Tracy, thank you in the English department for allowing that, because obviously this is very, I think, very important, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've been great. We've been getting able to really, I think this year is super important too, with me being new, not knowing my face, you know, and just letting the kids know who I am and what all we're here for. So it's been going really well.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we obviously really like working together. I don't like her at all, I mean.
Well, I would just like to thank you for putting together that like scheduled credit planner that's super helpful, especially making sense of the seals at the end, because
Yeah.
that's a lot, and it seems like there's a lot to find from any other source, so I appreciate that immensely. And thank you for the high school transition group and talking to students again about their plans with college, because the class I teach at UD is for students who are on academic probation, so I've kind of seen a lot of what happens when students get to college and go, wait a minute, now what? Like, you know, how is this supposed to all work? Because I'm on my own for the first time and kind of figuring that out, as well as maybe they're not the right major. So a lot of what you talked about kind of comes together in that classroom. So thank you for everything on that.
Thank you guys.
So thank you.
So the question I have is, as you identify the students that are at risk associated with their seals or any other portion, how will that work to help ensure that they're no longer at risk? Is that in collaboration with the principal and the teacher of those classes specifically they need to get?
So I think it'll be various ways. So our groups, I think we're already targeting some of those at-risk kids. Meeting with us one-on-one, going to the teachers, having maybe study groups. It's kind of a work in progress right now, but I think our group is really starting to target some of those kids to help with some of those foundational skills that they are kind of lacking.
Yeah, it's great. Early identification, I think, is going to be key for us so we're not scrambling at the last minute or thinking they're going to graduate and they don't.
Exactly. And we have that, we have that spreadsheet all the way to freshmen at this point. So hopefully we are identifying those students at the freshman level. Hopefully we'll expand down to the junior high and work on that all the way up through so we can keep track of them, try and help them out.
Excellent. The other thing I would say is your enthusiasm is awesome, and I appreciate you bringing that. Especially, it's very different to hear, like, we think we can create more work for ourselves if we get this done, you know, so that's great. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Up next will be elementary principals, Carrie Jones and Mrs. Cassie Schock.
Hello. We were excited to have 167 students in second and third grade meet their math fluency goal for the first quarter. Our second graders passed half of their addition facts, and our third graders had at least a 25-point improvement from the start of the quarter. So this quarter, we have all students first through fifth grade working on their individualized goals, and students were rewarded with full-size candy bars. Yay.
The next bullet point we have on there is about our honor roll list. We had about 45 students in fourth grade that were either on the all A's principals list or the AB honor roll. And then for fifth grade, we had a greater number there. Actually, almost half of our fifth graders were on either AB or the all A's principal list. So that was a great first quarter there. That's a little bit tough getting into the groove of school again. So it was good to see those numbers. In addition, we had PTO donation of $35,000 toward the new playground equipment for the building that is currently being built. So that's exciting as well.
And lastly, we had a $250 donation from Meyer here in Huber Heights to go towards our Bethel High Five program. Our students receive tickets weekly from their teachers, specials teachers, people in the cafeteria for their good behavior. And then on Monday, we have a drawing and we have a winner for each grade level.
Lots of fun new prizes.
And that is extremely important. It's the #1 topic of discussion in my house.
The high five, there you go. They do, they're good for
How many tickets did you get? How many tickets? Did you get?
Good deal. And then we had our upcoming dates on there, so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
Just, yeah, yeah.
$35,000 was playground.
Yeah, it's great to see the growth and the fact that we're seeing reading and stuff. It's always great as the year goes on, and a lot of kids get in the mark early. So it's great.
All right, middle school principal, Mr. Matt Triplett.
We had a lot going on this past month. The Outdoor Adventure Club went to Charleston Falls this past week and rode on mountain bike trails near the park. Again, thank you to the Miami County Parks District for their continued partnership in educating and providing opportunities for our students. Also, the Bethel Middle School academic team, they became league champions. The Bees traveled to Twin Valley South Middle School for the league tournament. The team of John Sebastian, Silas Atkins, Patrick Furstenberger, and Kate Schweikart finished the regular season with 8 wins and 2 losses. The Bees won the championship match 55-48. Congrats to Mr. Clute and the team for their big win. The Bethel Middle School musical Willy Wonka Jr. took place this month. Mrs. Wolford and the cast put on a great performance, taking the audience on a magical candy-filled journey. Thank you to all the parents, volunteers, and sponsors who helped make this year's performance possible. We are very fortunate to have such a great community who supports our Arts Pros brand. The first games of basketball season begin this month. Middle school girls begin November 27th at Riverside, and middle school boys begin November 29th versus Botkins, their home. The beekeepers, this is not on the update, I've added this in today. The beekeepers in the flight school took up a collection of items for the Miami County Animal Shelter in the honor of Ben Watt, since he loved animals so much. Mrs. Henderson, who was in charge of it, reported that over 1,000 items were donated by middle school and high school students, as well as a generous monetary donation. So thank you to all the students and community members who donated in honor of Ben. And lastly, we had 141 students make the principals list and 90 students make the honor roll for the first academic quarter. Congratulations to all those students on their achievements because of their hard work day in and day out. Our students and staff do amazing things on a daily basis, and we are very fortunate to have such a great learning environment so everyone is successful. So thank you.
Comments?
It was great to have the middle school musical back. Musicals are one of my favorite things, but especially having Willy Wonka.
Yeah, they did a great job.
It was a very fun musical, and thanks to Miss Wolford, the parents, the students, the teachers and staff. I mean, it was fabulous. And I know a lot of work goes into that. So thanks to all the people involved.
Congrats to the academic team. I mean, way to go, champions. Woo! That's awesome. So cool.
I'm happy to announce that we were able to do an in-person Veterans Day assembly this year. Unlike last year, we were able to gather all together, the whole high school, in the high school gymnasium. And we had 18 honored guests, veterans and current active military personnel were able to join us for the assembly. This year, I'd asked the social studies department to identify some students to be involved. And so they asked 4 different students to read some speeches. A couple of them were speeches that students had written. One of them was a speech by Abraham Lincoln. They did a really good job delivering those speeches. The band did a really good job playing a couple of pieces as well. So just shout out to them to make that assembly a great great time for our students. Secondly, the next day, we were able to have here on the Bethel High School campus a blood drive sponsored by the National Honor Society. The goal to contribute is 27 units of blood, and we had 32 students sign up, and of those 32, 25 were able to successfully donate. And it's kind of interesting to note that of those 32 that signed up, 23 of the high school students were first-time blood donors. So that was neat to see. Just a little bit of clarification here on some things that I'm asking you to approve later on. 2 new clubs that some students are interested in starting up here in the high school. The first one is a tabletop gaming club. It's not video games, but tabletop games such as Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. I'm not sure how to play those or what those are exactly. I'm more of a Monopoly and Uno type of guy. But they're going to be into that. It's open to any high school students. And Mrs. Karen Dirks has graciously agreed to stay after school with those students to supervise them. The second club is a baking club that they've named themselves the Sweet Stop. And this also is for high school students only. The students these are students that are interested in baking things. Then they will, after they do that, they will sell them and the profits will go toward charities. I know there was some questions about some ingredients and things. So I did send an email to Mrs. Porto, who's going to supervise them in terms of listing the items, the ingredients that are in each item. Also, I know there was a question about conflict with the boosters concession stands. If this Sweet Stop was to sell goods at basketball games or other sporting events. So I did talk with Mr. Bird, who brought it up to the boosters, and they're okay with it. He did recommend that the Sweet Stop also coordinates with Mrs. Gatrell and the prom committee because they also sell baked goods and ice cream sundaes from time to time at events. So they're looking forward to fulfilling their passion of baking and then selling those and giving the proceeds to charities. Last thing I have to report is that we're working in the high school, working toward becoming a Purple Star designated school. This is something offered by the Ohio Department of Education. It's given to schools that have shown themselves to be supportive and helpful to military families. Of course, as you know, we do have quite a few military families here at Bethel. There's a number of things that we have done and that we have plans on doing. I have to get that application in next month, and then we would hear later on in the school year whether or not we would be accepted as that. If we don't get it this year, we can do a couple more things and resubmit that application moving forward as well. So upcoming dates, we have the National Honor Society induction coming up on December the 8th, band and choir concert on Sunday, December 12th, and then semester exams just before we have a Christmas break. Questions?
Great job on the blood drive, and I guess I should thank both you and Mr. Triplett and Ms. Henderson. I mean, that was exciting to hear 1,000 items, that's a lot. And we're not talking food, right? We're talking big bags of pet food and stuff, so.
Yeah, bunch of different supplies.
Yeah, so I think that's quite a tribute to Ben. So thank you and everyone who participated. That's just such a neat way to remember him. And I'm just so excited with the Rock, how they recognized him with that, and just some really neat things happening this year. Thank you both.
Yeah, I would say thank you to all of you, our administrative team, for all that you do for our students and staff every day. If it wasn't for your direct connection to the students and the staff and our community, these great things couldn't happen with us supporting those community needs and supporting our students. It's just very wonderful and very heartfelt to see all of these events, an event that you support to help us support our community. So thank you to all 4 of you. Speaking of those key topics that were brought up just a minute ago, we have it all in one stop shop. So starting on November 24th. So you're entering into our Thanksgiving break. Goes through all of next week, right? Or all of this week and then back to school on Monday?
Correct.
Sorry. I'm thinking of my own stuff that I'm doing. So I apologize.
And we did set,
What is it?
okay.
Go ahead.
We did set the facilities meeting for the,
Yeah, that one will be adjusted,
at 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
It's not on there, is it? No.
No, I think we didn't know where we were gonna be with that. Based on Dustin's email, I assumed that it would have to be longer when those things come in and go with the construction. Okay.
That'll be on December 13th.
So December 13th at 5 p.m., which is not on here, will be our facilities committee meeting. Then followed by our regular meeting. But I wanted to go back and just say November 24th, 25th, and 26th. Obviously for the holiday break. Just want to say thank you to the teachers and staff and our administrative teams and support. You know, hopefully you'll be able to take these next few days to help recharge. You know, it's another difficult year. You have the opportunity to kind of reset with your family and enjoying Thanksgiving together or virtually, depending on where they are. But truly focus on trying to get that reset for our teachers and stuff before they come back. I think that's very important. Sorry. I didn't mean to choke you up, Justin. So anyways, those are our communications. You'll see an update to that with those additional dates. Next, I'd like to turn over to the second amendment.
Okay, so we need your approval for approval of the meeting minutes for September 30th, as well as October 5th, October 11th, October 15th, and October 22nd. Then we need your approval for payment of bills. This is our new detailed check register. It comes from our redesign. I like it a little better than what we had before, but if you have any questions, let me know upon your approval. We will upload that to the website. It's available to everyone, the state check register. So need your approval on the board monthly financial reports. As we spoke at the work session, we're pretty much running where we need to be. There's no surprises right now. There's less than 1% difference between what we were expecting and where we're at. So makes me happy. So I don't have to worry about things. So we are running a little low on our revenues, but like I said, less than 1%. So nothing that keeps me up at night. So unless anyone has any questions. Approval of donations, as the elementary principals noted, there's a $35,000 donation from the PTO for new elementary playground equipment, $1,500 from the girls is a Canby Light.
Should be Canby Elite.
Canby Elite LLC to girls basketball, $250 gift card from Meyer to the elementary for the High Five program. Then there were two more donations that came in that I wanted to get on this month's agenda, which were $62.50 to girls soccer and boys soccer from a group of parents. So wanted to get that on there for your approval. And then needed your approval on the physical therapy contract with the Montgomery County ESC for this year. Approval on certificates of availability for final forms and Peterson Construction. And then for our new retainage agreement, which is required for our construction project, it's 8% of labor and any storage materials have to be held in retainage until the project is done and then can be released. So I have that agreement with Park National Bank. They were wonderful and able to turn it around for us in a rather short period of time. So I really do appreciate Jason and Park National Bank for making that happen for us so that we can get that rolling for the board for the building project. Oh, I just skipped the big thing, didn't I? It's November, so of course with November, it used to be October, but now it is November and it is the 5-year forecast. I did finally figure out how to move the levies out of pending status. So there were some changes to the forecast from the first work session because I was trying to get that taken care of. So I just wanted to go over the purpose and objective. The whole point of doing a 5-year forecast is supposed to be to engage your local Board of Education and community on long-range planning. What do we need to do to plan for the future? I always think that's a great idea, but everyone has to remember that the 5-year forecast is fluid. It can change in a day, it can change in an hour. We try to estimate everything we possibly can, but if we had, if we knew everything in advance, wouldn't that be wonderful? And it's also there for discussions on financial issues that may be facing the district as we go down the pipe. So if people have questions, please feel free to ask, look it over, that's what it's there for. It's also it gives me the basis for signing what's called a 412 certificate. Anytime that we do negotiations or we have a big project, I have to be able to sign something saying, we have the money to meet this obligation for a year, for 2 years, or 3 years. And so that's what that basis is. And it's also what the Department of Education and the Auditor's State Office uses to identify any districts that may have potential financial problems in the near future. One of the things I thought was interesting and wanted to share is if you look at the revenues for 2021, last year and compare it to 5 years out, which is 2026. The state provides 36% of our overall revenue as expectations in 21, and they will be providing 10% more in 2026. So the state's portion of our revenues will increase by 10% if we're able to keep the fair funding model in place that's currently in place and it's fully phased in. Real estate, our community pays for 24% in fiscal year 21, which was last year, and fiscal year 26, we're looking at 20%. So that really shifts who's, where we're getting most of our revenue from. So, and this is all being triggered because of the fair funding model that's out there now.
No, I want to emphasize, even though it's coming from the state, it's still our tax money. I just want people to realize that's not like some magic gift. But it's not just our local community, it's the entire state, right? Yes. So I had to make some assumptions when I'm looking at revenues and looking at what we're going to spend. And so the first thing that I assumed is that the fair funding formula, program, plan, whatever word you want to use, I just continued that on for the remainder of our forecast. So it is guaranteed for fiscal year 22, which is what we're currently in, and next year, which is 23. And I'm hoping that that will continue. So if that doesn't continue beyond this biennium, that will have a significant impact on our revenue projections. So I'm going to continue to monitor that, and hopefully the legislators will keep it in place where it's at or increase it as we go along. And as we look at continued enrollment growth with, in line with that new funding formula, we're looking at about 100 to 110 new students per year. And we've got birth rate data that shows that in fiscal year 25, school year 25, we may need to add another 2 or 3 kindergarten teachers.
So we are certainly only one of 4 districts in the state of Ohio that has this problem. If that's a problem, it's a good thing. Most districts are seeing a massive decline in their enrollment. So this is good to a certain extent. We don't want to go too fast, but so we are what is considered a formula district now. You might have heard in the past being referred to as a capped district, meaning that you weren't getting funded because your enrollment was capped at what you had last year. So this year we're a formula district. So we are being funded based upon actual enrollment. You know, what our head count is. So as I said, this is a new formula that was introduced for this year, next year. It's going to be phased in. It's not 100%. If it was 100%, we'd be seeing even bigger numbers. It's not guaranteed beyond next year, but hopefully they will see the good that it does and keep it in place. So we're looking at increased funding of $677,000 for this year and $741,000 for next year. I was hoping that we would have all the details in October, but that got delayed till December. It's a lot of changes to the way this is being handled at ODE. So I understand the delay. It doesn't make me happy, but I understand. We did lose student wellness and success funds, which used to be outside of your operating budget. It was considered a state grant. So we had to move those expenses back on the forecast. But I think they're going to include it in our operating budget because they're going to put strings on some of that money that they give us. So once we see in December what that looks like, we'll be able to make better decisions about that. As I mentioned earlier, previously we've been capped. Now we're on the funding formula. So if they keep us there, it'd be great. Looking at expenditures, sort of like we did in revenues. Last year, salaries were 46% and benefits were 20% for a total of 66%. In fiscal year 2026, we're looking at salaries at 52% and benefits about 26% for a total of 78%. So in any district, salary and benefits represent the largest percentage of our expenditure. It's always the case. That's what we do. We educate students. We need to have bodies here. So we're looking at a projected growth of 7% each year for additional staff, step increases, and base increases. So again, we're looking at enrollment growth of 100 to 110 students per year. And benefit costs are projected to grow at 10% per year, but I will admit that's a low estimate. Trend with a PPO plan, especially like what we have, is much higher than that. It's mostly double digits, so we'll have to keep a close eye on that. So the fair school funding plan funds students based on where they're being educated. What happened in the past is you would see money come into us as this residential district, and then you would see the money go out as a purchase service deduction going out to the school that they're enrolled to. So if we receive $3,000 a student, they would transfer $6,200 out for that student, and we'd end up with less money for that student to attend somewhere else. That it could possibly, be a detriment to the district. Now the students are being funded wherever they're being educated. So we're not seeing that number go out. So that's why you're going to see on the forecast a slight dip, slight $700,000 dip in your purchase services. I wish it's because we could say the utilities are going down or something good like that, but it's still good because we're not seeing that money come out. So it's just a different way of how they're accounting for that. And I think it's a great thing for districts because, we've got to count them coming in and then count them going out. And then we got to verify that they're there. We still have to do the verification and make sure that they're there and things of that nature, but they're being funded where they're at rather than it coming out of our funding. So long and short is we're actually in the black all 5 years on the forecast. I've never had that happen in any district that I've been at. So it's a new thing for me, but we will have to keep a close eye on that, make sure that that's how it works out. As I said, it's a living, breathing document. It can change in an hour. I've been in some districts where you print it, you're ready to go, you put it on the board agenda, and somebody runs into your office and you got to change something again. So hopefully we'll just keep a close eye on that and make sure that it works well for us. So unless anyone has any questions. Sure.
So on the salaries and benefits estimate page,
Mhm.
does that include that we have from the SC as well, or is that strictly?
No, that's strictly salaries and benefits, not your purchase service contracts. Now, what Mr. First and I have been discussing is those positions that are 100% Bethel. As the opportunity comes up, we're looking at, is it better for us to move them onto our payroll? And so only because there's always an additional fee that the ESC will charge. And if you split those services among other districts, it's a great way to minimize costs. But if we have that person or in those services 100%, we can certainly look at moving them onto the payroll.
So we've been asking this and haven't gotten it so far, but is there any way to include all the staff in a picture that shows what percent they are of the overall budget? Because it's to us or to me, it's not really a true picture of the percent that we're spending on salaries and benefits if it doesn't include every staff member.
And I understand that and agree with you wholeheartedly, but the state requires that you separate it because of the way you're paying them. They're not on our payroll. So I can't include them because they're not, they have to be paid from a 100 code, which is salaries, or 200, which is benefits. And since they're paid as a 400, which is purchase service, I can put something together.
So that was that, yeah.
Yes, I can put something together
Not for the
separately.
state chart.
Yes, I can certainly do that for you. Yeah, that shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah, and can you go back to the expenditure slide again? Were you done or did you? No, I'm done.
I want to make sure that it's at the end.
Okay, so there we go.
I just want to make sure again, we didn't increase staff salaries 12%. Okay, if somebody reads that, thinks that's not true.
No, that's over 5 years.
But I think there needs to be, you said it, but I want to emphasize
It's
it.
because if we're looking at growth at 100 to 110 kids a year, you're going to be looking at increasing your staff. Okay, and that's going to be not just salaries and benefits, but you're going to add people. You're going to need to add people. You can't have classrooms with 50 kids in them. So you need to be prepared for that. So that's why we're looking at 6 to 7% each year to include that growth in those new hires.
And a chunk of our purchase services for fiscal year 2022 was handled differently, right? You said it was like 700,000.
700,000.
So that's just gone now. I just want to mention that because I can just hear somebody saying, what the heck are they doing? It's because of how the state changed the requirements. So I want to be very careful on the slide that everybody understands. This is not some ludicrous salary increase. That's not what happened.
Oh, no, yeah, that's why I wanted to say that we're projected growth of 7%, which includes additional staff. So you've been adding, I think, 4 or so a year to maintain what we have so far. So looking at that, you're probably going to need to add, staff as you go along. So
part of this is because we're opening a second building.
You're going to be opening a second building, correct? Yes.
Have some duplication.
Right.
And you guys have also been pulling staff in from the ESC, which will increase your salaries and benefits.
Correct.
Recategorized. Can you tell me, you've mentioned the Fair School Funding Act. I'll get it right this time.
That's okay. People call it Patterson all the time, but yeah.
Can you tell me, when are we going to find out? When will you know in December? When does that foundation payment?
The first foundation payment, I think, is the second week of December. So I'll have to look at it then. I'm hopeful that what will happen the second week of December is they'll catch us up.
Yes.
Because they've been paying us since, July based on the last year's funding formula until they get all these moving pieces together and get that working. in the past, what has happened is they've done that in October and we've seen a catch-up payment. So we get a huge payment in October. Well, we didn't get that. So maybe that will happen in December. But as I said, this is a major overhaul. So if they may not be able to do that, but I'm hopeful.
And I would just ask, since we're on the expenditure, we're on the expenditures. Larger districts that I've seen and districts that I've worked for in the past, it seems like in the 70% is much more standard for salaries. and
We're
benefits.
actually, yes, we're low. And as Julie pointed out, and Ms. Reese pointed out, we have a lot of staff that are in that purchase service line. So when we look at that, if we were to combine them all together, we'd probably be closer. Yes, most districts try to stay between 74, 78. They don't want to get above 78. But I will say that a lot of larger districts are above that now. Yeah.
And then I just have one last thing. So I just want to make sure that, I think you said this last time, and if I'm wrong, tell me corrected. But part of the reason we're in the black for all 5 years is because of this extra money we're getting, the 1.3 something. And then the levies also passed. So that is in the forecast now.
Correct.
So, okay, so I just wanted to make sure that people understand that once again, we didn't change something from the last 5-year forecast. These are additional monies we got.
Right.
Have improved our financial standing.
Right. You know, we didn't know about the new fair funding, school funding plan. I don't even get it right sometimes, Lori. Until, they signed it into law, which was in July, and so we were hopeful that we would have all the information by October. We put the forecast out in November. So of course, forecast goes out in November and they kick the can down to December. But I mean, it is a very complicated thing. So you've got a couple things with the fair school funding plan. You got this additional 1.4 million that's coming in, and then you've lost $700,000 in expenditures because they took that money out. So it's an accounting entry, but it is going to make a significant impact on our 5-year, because we not only got $1.4 million in revenue, we lost $700,000 in expenses. It's sort of like, if it was your home budget, you got a big pay raise and then your house was paid off. You don't have a mortgage. So that's sort of what we're looking at. It's not that much, but it's pretty significant. So it's about a $700,000 savings to us because we had that much money going out to other districts, and scholarship money and that for kids that were attending elsewhere.
Yeah, and one thing, since we have our 2 new board members in the audience, basically, in my opinion, the first 2 years look really good. After that, it's a guessing game because of the biennium budget, because the state approves its budget every 2 years. We can make best assumptions, which is what Tina's done, but this can look completely different 2 years from now of no fault of our own.
Correct.
So I just want to mention that. And you can look at year 3, 4, and 5, but I can tell you from experience, it
Even if it's working for schools.
Right.
Right.
We'll change, but it may not be
this the legislators give us a budget for the biennium, so it's always two school years. But I've also been a treasurer where they've made a biennium, mid-biennium adjustment. And so they've taken money away at mid-biennium. So things could always change, but right now I'm looking, I think we look good.
Optimistic.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying to myself. Cautiously optimistic.
Yes. So hopefully, a lot of districts are in this situation with the new fair funding plan, and that we will continue to talk to our legislators about how great this is for schools, and we'll keep it in place.
I just want to say thank you for all your work, Tina. I know learning the new Forecast 5 software and just getting familiar with all our intricacies here with the growth. Thank you. I really appreciate the time you spent. And you still post these on the website, right? Financial page.
I can, yes. Mm-hmm. What you mean the district's financial, or?
Yeah, you have a page, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think they used to get posted out there.
Yeah.
Once approved, yes.
Once approved.
Yeah. So I just had a question on the 5-year forecast. Going back to that. Currently, right now, you don't need to pull it up, send Anita this on something. Currently in the old budget, we received, was it like $2,200 per student, or was it less than that?
It was roughly about 2,200, yeah.
Yeah, and then under the new rate, the new formula, what will we?
It looks to be about 3,800. If everything works out, it's gonna be close to $3,800 or a little over that.
Which is a significant increase when you look at,
Mhm.
but also a massive disadvantage as well to some of the other school districts. For example, we're gonna move into $3,800 per student. The city of Huber Heights has been getting over 7,000 per student per year for their educational needs. So, I guess that's the benefit, the
Right.
negative impact of having the cap district that we've been up to this point. Still huge strides and a lot of money to help educate the children, and then we're getting there. We're not there yet, but
We're
we're
not
getting
there
there.
yet, but we're
That was a
getting
pretty
there.
good jump though.
Yes.
$1,600 additional dollars per student. I think it's gonna be great. That was the key point that I had. All right. Have a motion to place the items from the treasurer's report on the consent calendar.
I'll move. I'll second.
Julie, thank you.
Lori Lina.
All right. I saw a motion from your hand, that's why. So Lori for the motion and Lina for the second. Any discussion?
Thank you for the donation, of course, PTO. I think that's amazing for our new school, big playground. I mean, that's gonna be such a huge help as well. Girls can be elite for basketball, and to Fire, of course, for the high five program. That's fabulous. We love to be able to reward the kids for the work they're doing. It's great. And the new one for the soccer parents.
It was round that the t-shirts came in, I guess, under what they had
Oh, cool.
planned, so.
Okay. And then they just said, keep it.
Yeah, the t-shirts front and back were $10. The company that did those, thank you, because that's amazing. I don't know how many were ordered, but amazing that we were able to donate some money back.
And then, of course, to Park National for getting me agreement, of course, sign up on that, keep things moving. Well appreciated.
Thank you to our community members that continue to invest in our students with all our donations, specifically our parents and the PTO organization. I know that organization doesn't run without parent involvement, but it has a significant involvement with the teachers, and our elementary principals play a huge role in that. And so I just want to say thank you for supporting PTO. Thank you to the PTO and all the parents that support them. Thank you for the 5-year forecast. To let us know. Of note, I think it's just unreal to look at the 5-year forecast now that Ms. Hagan has put together. We were utilizing one from a year ago, actually 6th May. When we looked at the May 5-year forecast, we were going to be over $1.6 million negative in the deficit in the 2 years, in year 3, where we were looking at thinking that we had to do some type of cuts, which is going to be extremely difficult to do with a growing workforce and a growing student population. So we were significantly thankful that we were able to receive the new formula, the new foundational pieces that has really been a lifesaver, to say, in our budgeting process for the next few years. So that's not the worry. That is great. Any other? All right. Can you call the roll?
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian, Mr. Elam.
Yes. Motion to adopt the consent calendar with those items from the treasurer's report. Thank you, Julie, for the motion. Is that right this time? Okay. And thank you, Danny, for the second. Any further discussion? Ms. Mansfield, oh my gosh, I'm going terrible over here. It's the turkey I ate. So will you please call the vote?
Sure. Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes.
Mr. Elam.
Yeah. Any other additional information from you, ma'am?
No, I think I've spoken enough tonight.
Well, we'll always enjoy those extra words is with the ending of we're gonna be in.
We're in the block.
Excellent. All right, so moving on to item number 8, superintendent's items requesting board. Mr. Burks.
Good evening. On the agenda this evening for consideration, letter A, approval of certified substitutes. This is one that we see regularly from the Miami County Educational Service Center. Anytime the substitute teacher list changes, we have to reapprove that list. That's letter A. Letter B, approval of classified resignation. I'd like to thank Mrs. Caitlin Pytel for her service to the district as a second shift custodian. As many know, Kate was a graduate of Bethel High School and had done a good job for our custodial staff on the second shift. And we'd like to wish her the very best as she goes back to college and pursues her academic studies. Letter C is approval of supplemental resignations. You'll see a couple on here. Once again, I'd like to thank Miss Amanda Anvers, high school cheer coach, for her work with the student athletes here in the district as a high school cheer coach, and also Mr. Charlie Hawk as JV boys basketball coach as well. Letter D is approval of supplemental positions, fall, winter, and non-sport supplementals. You'll see a number of these positions that have been resignations are now being filled either internally or by outside people coming into the district. I'd like to thank Mr. Chase Goulet, who's a teacher here in the district, who will be serving as a home instructor. Home instructors provide additional services to students with IEPs, individualized education plans, who call for additional educational opportunities outside of the school environment. Alyssa Coker as Saturday school monitor. Christina Brooks will be moving up from a volunteer cheer coach to our high school cheer coach. She'll be replacing Amanda Ambers. Rachel Sukol will be stepping up as a cheer coach volunteer in place of Christina Brooks. And then also Mr. Joe Smith, who will be moving from a volunteer basketball coach to our JV boys basketball coach, replacing Charlie Hawk. Letter E is approval of leave of absences. I'd like to wish a couple of staff members, Holly Hughes and Brian Furstenberger, the very best as they are on family leave, medical absence for an extended period of time. Letter F, the approval of gate worker. Once again, you'll see a familiar name, Alyssa Coker, ESC employee, is being approved this evening to assist as a gate worker for extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Letter G and H tie into discussions previously from Mr. Swope, high school principal, in regards to a couple of new clubs, Sweet Stop Club, and then also a club, tabletop gaming club as well. And then letter I is approval of resolution acknowledging the OFCC's design phase review comments, which we've covered previously as well. Letter J is an item that we've talked about previously, approval of agreement between Bethel Local Schools and Whittle Consulting Group. This is a contract agreement on here with the Whittle Consulting Group in regards to creation and revision of job descriptions for the district. Bethel Local Schools currently did not have official job descriptions in the district. Essentially, when postings became available, we would pull off canned job descriptions from the Dayton Area Consortium. Several members of the Board of Education and also myself discussed amongst the group creating job descriptions for the district. This information was provided to the school board members previously. This is a consulting group that provides job descriptions to a number of districts throughout the state of Ohio. They are kind of have a monopoly on this consulting group creation positions. And it's going to allow us to create between, I believe it's 65 and 70 job descriptions for the district at right around $8,200, I believe is the contract. Letter K, Mr. Bird's in attendance. He can talk a little bit about this if you'd like, but as he and all of us are well aware, we have been short classified staff, and in particular our custodial staff for several months. And so kudos to our maintenance and custodial staff and the few substitutes that we have that have been coming in. Mrs. Butler was in tonight helping out with the sub. But we're proud to be able to have on the agenda this evening, Zach Houston. He is actually a resident of the Bethel community. His kids go to school here. He's going to be serving as a third shift custodian. We typically had first and second. With his job, I guess with his family situation at home, he's going to serve essentially from a 10 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. third shift position, which will allow us to have staff members on site Monday through Friday, 24 hours a day, essentially. But he will be starting out on step one at $15.47 an hour, which is our second shift pay for that step. Letter L is one that Mr. Swope talked about earlier, approval of a resolution in support of military children and families. This has to do with the Purple Heart designation from the Ohio Department of Education. You can see a standard resolution created by ODE as a first step measure for districts who are pursuing this credentialing to have on the Board of Education agenda for consideration. Those are the items that I have on the agenda this evening for your guys' review.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burks.
You're welcome.
We have a motion to place items from the superintendent's report on the consent calendar. Thank you, Danny, for the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lada, for the second. Discussion.
Yeah, I would just like to pull out item J for the job description, just to have a separate vote and separate discussion.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Swope, for answering the questions concerning the new groups earlier.
Yeah, and if we could get those at least listed that they're for high school students in the proposal, I'd appreciate it, because what we're approving tonight doesn't have that further information in. I mean, can he make am I making sense? He answered the questions we asked, but they're not actually in the proposal we're approving. So can we say the proposals with the modifications he has made or has proposed be included? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And along with that one, and Sweet Shop, I know that you said they work with Prom Committee. Can I ask them to also work with Muse Machine? Because I know that they also do big sale on their form. Just to add them on post to some of the culture. That'd be great. And I like a small caveat, if I could, if at any time it starts to be a hindrance or an issue for athletic boosters, if they could sort of like, have a conversation. I don't anticipate it's a problem, but you never know you just never know. I'm just gonna say that. Small
We're
area
not
out
making
there for
cookies or
basketball.
brownies or we stick to eating dogs and pretzels.
If the Sweet Club is donating to charities, maybe.
Maybe
boosters can.
Just trying to protect, we're asking you guys for a lot, it's $1 million for that state, so that's a lot of money, so I know every little bit adds up, right? It's huge, but again, I mean, I love to bake, so I'm on their side too, so it's walking that line, right?
And I just wanted to clarify with regards to the clubs, right? In the past, our board practice has been is any new club or group that comes into the district has to operate for 2 years, have to be self-sufficient with a positive enrollment in the program to be accepted as an actual Bethel school club. To get to turn it into a supplemental position for funded advisor to help pull that through. And it also allows them to have budgeting with Ms. Hageman to the school treasurer's office as well. Once they get through that status of those 2 years, being self-sufficient, positive enrollment. So still be here, still be held in the school, all those pieces based on our vote, but for it to be designated as a school club fully, it's been the 2 years.
Yeah, and in my time on the board, we've done it with math club and we've done it with swim team. Maybe the swim team was before my time on the board, but
You're correct.
yeah, so those are two organizations where they did the work 2 years and then we were able to convert those into supplemental positions. So.
And I think we're getting really close on the Clay Shooting Club. Yeah, they're in year 2 now. Looks like they had quite a bit of enrollment there. So, as we go moving forward with these clubs and those pieces of support for students. That was just one of the key elements.
And I'd also like to thank Mr. Ferks and Mr. Bird for thinking outside the box and thinking about a third shift custodian, because we're just getting to the point where we need someone here most of the time. So I think it's a great way you filled the position, and good job.
Yeah. All right. Any other discussion?
A huge fan of the resolutions for military families. That's fabulous, especially given our enrollment and the backgrounds of so many of our students and families. Something that we should do regardless of the purple heart status with the state. Yeah.
And I know this is a little off the topic, but Tina and you are working on, or Tina is working on, maybe I should have asked you this in a year before.
Impact aid.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so if more than or at a minimum 10% of your enrollment is from or have their parents or guardians are military or civilian workers on a federal property, then you are eligible for impact aid. The exciting part about impact aid is it opens up the door for construction funds. So there's a lot of, of course, with any new funding, there's a lot of little steps that we have to go through. So you have to do a survey, and you have to get that survey out to the community and ask them to say yay or nay that they are active military or that they're a civilian worker on either Wright Pat or the Springfield Air Base, right? So then it's 10% of your enrollment. So if it's one family with 2 kids, we count each kid, not just the family. So if we qualify, then we could get additional funding per student, as well as it opens up an avenue for construction funds. And as we've said, we are growing. And so there's always a need for construction and expansion. So if we can get those funds elsewhere, we're going to try and do that. So right now I'm working with Final Forms to try and schedule a demo, because the federal government requires a demo of our online survey software to make sure it meets their needs before they'll approve it. So hopefully we can get the survey done and get everything done in time to get funding for next year. It had to be done by January or February 2021 to get it for this year. So we're trying to get it done for next year.
Families might be able to expect seeing something come from us soon.
Yes.
Asking each family to complete a survey for each child that they have enrolled in the district. It won't take terribly long. There's literally a question at the top. I do not have any federally connected employment or whatever. I'm not employed by the government. And you check that and you're done. Otherwise, you check box 2 that says I am, and then you go through and say how you're connected, where you might be connected, fill out that information. It's pretty quick stuff, about like anything else you do. Unfortunately, it has to be a separate survey as opposed to your regular school one, because of the U.S. Department of Education requires that. So it's just part of how it goes, but it should be relatively quick. It's pretty straightforward, and hopefully we'll meet the terms. And
I'm just
maybe
hoping
see some
they
additional
approve
funding.
Final Forms, because I don't want to have to count every piece of paper. So, but I will if I have to, but so yeah. So that's the first step, is to see if they'll approve the online survey format. So.
And hopefully we'll have enough federally connected students to meet the requirements. So that'd be fabulous.
So 2 great initiatives, one Mr. Swope's working on, and thanks Lyda and Tina and Justin for working towards this.
Yes. All right. Noting that the motion is amended, pulling out item J. Ms. Hageman, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian?
Yes.
Mr. Elam?
Yes. Motion to adopt the consent calendar as amended with the items from the superintendent's report.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you, Lori, for the motion and Julie for the second. Any further discussion? Hageman, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes.
Mr. Elam.
Yes.
All right, so to make it a little more fun, right? So do we have a motion to approve the agreement between Bethel Local Schools and Whittle Consulting Group?
I'll move.
Thank you, Lori, for the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll say. I mean, so you're fine.
Thank you, Lida, for the second. Discussion.
So I have some discussion. Yeah, so we talked about this in the work session, but I just want to make my position clearer. We have, even though we're in the black now for our 5-year forecast, we still have been cutting things out of the construction project at a fairly rapid pace. And we're also not building out 5th grade classrooms. So my feeling is that we should be on some sort of austerity program to start getting funds for finishing out that the 5th grade wing for sure. And in this particular case, we're talking about 60 to 70 job descriptions that I feel could be done in-house, saving that $7,000. And I know it'd be a lot of work for one person, but it just seems like it could be divided up among the administrators and leadership, and then it wouldn't be a huge burden on anybody. So that's my position. Just wanted to mention that.
Just wanted to say thank you, Julie, for that perspective. And I have a different perspective, and that is in the alignment that as administrators are working on those job descriptions, we're taking away from their ability to support our staff and students. And I think that they're legally binding documents that should have similarities all the way through them, and having it done by a third party would assist us in ensuring they're legally sufficient.
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Brooks, but isn't the owner of Whittle Consulting Group getting ready to retire and possibly be defunct soon?
He's gonna have a,
Or sell the business,
Sell.
or we may not get the same price again?
more likely.
Yeah, and I said this at the work session, I'll say it again, I've been on the board 6 years, and I am personally embarrassed that we don't have job descriptions in place for every position. As we grow, Julie has even stated, it's more and more important that we have job descriptions, so everybody knows what they're doing, they're written down. I do think it's a priority to have this done, and I do respect. Yes, I would like to do more of the building project. I respect that very much, but I think it's important to have job descriptions. So I do agree with that. And as you pointed out, I've been asking for them since I got on the board. So, that's 4 years ago now. So that's part of the other reason, is that it seems like now it's an emergency. I don't know why. I don't know how they're legally binding. And my understanding is that the staff is going to be involved anyhow. It's going to take some of their time to explain what they're doing to get appropriate job descriptions. And for consistency, you could use a template that people fill out. So.
All valid comments and valid perspectives.
These descriptions become property of the district.
Correct.
Any further discussion or comments? Ms. Hagan, can you call the vote, please?
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
No.
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes.
Mr. Elam.
Yes.
Thank you. Number 9 is any other additional information from the superintendent, Mr. Brooks?
Yes, sir. I think it's appropriate to send out the condolences from Bethel Local Schools to Scott Dickinson, who is a graduate of Bethel Local Schools and most recently served as president of our Alumni Association. Although I've only been here a handful of years, it's been a pleasure. It was a pleasure to get to know Mr. Dickinson and his work with the Alumni Association. He was a huge supporter of Bethel Local Schools, and feel horrible for his wife and his family. with his recent passing. And so I think it's appropriate for us to wish our best to him or to his family and to thank Scott for all of his years of service to our district.
Very fitting. Thank you.
And he was just a great guy. He came, I remember when this building was dedicated, he came and toured and so instrumental on so many students getting alumni scholarships. In fact, I believe if you scroll down, I think he, in his obituary, the family requested funds be donated to the Alumni Scholarship Fund. So very appreciative of all his service and his help getting kids some help for college. He will be greatly missed.
Thank you, Mr. Perks. Going on to board items. The facilities committee.
Yes. So the facilities committee met directly before this meeting, and I'm going to give you a summary of that meeting. So we had reports and status updates for the construction project. Here's a quick summary. The early site work is going well. The site pad and parking lots are nearly all gravel, and that work is nearly completed. They're beginning the infrastructure work. The construction docks have been sent to Peterson Construction and bids are being taken. The field house docks are in the final stages. The field turf, scoreboard, and bleachers are getting bids through co-op, which is going to help save us some money. The widening of the road in front of where the K-5 will be, the traffic studies are finalized. They're working on finalizing the docks and we'll go out to ODOT for review. Traffic studies for the US 4201 and US 4202 corners. Lori gave us an update on that. They looked at 4 alternatives, doing nothing. Left turn lanes with and without signals, a roundabout at 201 and a mini roundabout at 202. And the conclusion was at this time, the costs outweigh the benefits. And it's basically due to the lack of accidents. So we don't meet the numbers yet to do any work at those intersections. Then we talked about the certification of the total project costs and the athletic boosters. So I may not do this right. Correct me. So the 412 certificate that she talked about earlier, where she has to be able to certify that the district has the funds available to meet the bids. The $1 million towards the stadium project is coming through the athletic boosters, but we don't have it in our hot little hands right now. So they're going to do some work to figure out what alternatives we can do to maybe make some of those alternate items in the bid, or maybe some other things. So Mrs. Hageman is going to work with Garvin Miller on that. And next future steps are, there's going to be a budget meeting with Garvin Miller and Peterson. So we're going to continue to work with sponsors to get in more money towards the stadium. The bidding project information on the K-5 is going out, getting in numbers for the field turf, scoreboard, and bleachers, finalizing the docks on the field house, and prioritizing the alternate items. So those are the items that we pulled out of the budget because we don't have the money. So we now have them as alternate lists so that we still get bids on them in case we find the money, in case prices come down. And the next meeting will be December 13th at 5 p.m.
Thank you. Summer. Any other board members have anything they want to finish?
I attended the clay shooting club extravaganza a couple weekends ago in the Northwestern School District. It's a beautiful day. Had a very nice demonstration from Mr. Gilroy, and many students shooting, of course, and members of the community were able to shoot. I was perfect. I was over 5. I think there's something wrong with the price on my weapon. But,
Yeah.
this is, apparently there are a large number of students going to be involved here coming in the spring, so it's like it's turning into a big success.
Anything else? The one thing that I wanted to bring up from the board, or at least at the last work session, we made a change to the amount of spending that was voted on at that work session. So I thought, in all transparency, that I would give you a summary. Previously, we could only spend $5,000 without going out to bid in one of our policies. I believe that, not sure how it changed to that, when it was changed to that, but we moved that to $50,000. And then it has to go to bid based on construction projects, which is in alignment with the High Revised Code. One of the things that we added was that any item or contract costing more than $10,000 would require 3 bids to be provided for the purchase of said items. So that was a 4-to-1 vote at the work session. Was it 4-to-1? I just want to make sure it's 4-to-1. So we did take that action at the last board meeting so that we could move forward. One of the biggest drivers is the fact that we're into the construction project and there's many larger purchase items that need to be done.
Now, that was in line with most of the vast majority of districts.
Correct. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, it's not a road.
Right.
You can see, yeah, you can see that we have a significant discussion on that on our YouTube video. So if you view that and have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Next would be item 11, and that will be hearing of the BEA president.
Okay. Just 2 quick things here. Every year the BEA sponsors families during the holiday season. This year we'll be helping 2 families and we have started shopping and collecting donations. So we will give those to those families before we leave for the holidays, December 17th. We are also very appreciative and we love the idea of the 15 food items to bring in to wear jeans for 15 days. Love that idea. And so, yes, K-8 will be donating to Bethel Hope and 9 through 12 to Needy Baskets in the community. And I've already bought my 15 items and actually I kind of went overboard. So I just think it's a great idea. It is a great idea. And I just want to wish everyone a happy and joyful Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for this year. Yeah, so enjoy your holiday and go Browns.
Well, at least one of those is positive.
Right in at the end.
All the way. All right, next up is hearing from the public. Those are the guidelines for addressing. But we have 2 people that had submitted. So start off with Ms. Donovan.
I don't really have a question. I think I put that on there.
You did.
I don't really have a question. I just have a little thing I want to read, maybe a statement. Okay, at the last 3 BOE meetings, I have continually stated there is no mask mandate in the state of Ohio. I have asked what law you are following. Your response was the Biden EO, which is not a law. Again, I question what law you are following. The response was following CDC guidelines. Guidelines are not a law. I requested that you put out an online religious exemption form or any type of exemption form to be available to all parents and students to have the freedom of choice to mask or not to mask. Our Declaration of Independence gives us those unalienable rights. You still have not addressed that or given me any answer on that one issue. I haven't seen it anywhere. Let me remind you, an order, a mandate, a requirement, a recommendation is not a law. You took an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Ohio, which you became an elected official to serve this community. Again, I wanted to remind you, by requiring masks, a medical device on the buses, You could be putting yourselves in a position to be held liable for health issues resulting from mask wearing. If a child develops a health issue because of mandate mask wearing, parents could hold the Bethel BOE civilly liable. Some like to quote numbers. Well, here are some percentages that I got straight from the Ohio Department of Health today. Current COVID infection rate over the last 30 days for all of Miami County is 1%. Bethel is a little better than that, slightly lower infected over the last month. So what I'm saying, you're willing to mask the kids on the bus for less than 1% in the Bethel community. You as board members have the power to do away with mask mandate on the buses by a majority vote at any time. Other schools in Ohio have done it. I can only assume that you have not put it to a vote, or you are choosing to ignore this in hopes that maybe I won't bring it up again. But I will, maybe the new board will, I don't know. In closing, I want to congratulate the 2 new board members that Danny returning for the next. I'm not sure whether I'll be here in December or not because of the holidays and stuff. But Julie and Jacob, I do want to thank you for what you've done for the community, the teachers, the students. I appreciate it. And good luck to the new board members and Danny, and I wish everybody happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. And what I would say in response to that is we still are following our legal counsel advice on what we're doing. We did look at exemption categories, and I believe we've got a sample document that is with our legal team now, looking at how to, what is the proper format and we are moving forward with that.
We also have a meeting next or early December with our new rep as well.
With our policy rep.
Okay, that's great. I hadn't heard anything about it, but I appreciate the fact.
No,
that
thank
let
you.
me know that.
And I will be honest and say that I didn't even consider exemption forms for the bus until you had brought it up. So thank you.
Well,
Next up is Ms. Natalie Donahue.
Thank you. I just wanted to hopefully maybe get a little more information. Maybe at the end of October, I think I was on my way to trustees meeting. I was coming up Dayton Brand at the corner of 201, and I looked across the schoolyard, and up from the ground was a wooden structure that I hadn't heard anybody talk about before. And I think by the weekend then when I drove through, it was pretty well constructed. So I'm curious because I might have missed a meeting, but I sure don't remember hearing anything about that. So I didn't know if it was a part of the bus barn. Is it storage? Is it part of the weight room? I don't know if it's finished. I haven't driven back by there through to see, but I just didn't remember anybody ever voting on that in a school board meeting. So I was just trying to get some further information. If you can share that with everybody, please.
Todd, you want to talk about its usage?
Yeah, so the building that's out there now is a couple of uses. One, it is definitely storage because there's not enough of that. And a lot of it is for the maintenance department. We're always fighting to even get our stuff out of the way so the bus mechanic can get his buses in. And then the other purpose of the 2 vans, the 2 9-passenger vans that the school bought just last year. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Are going to be able to be stored in that building along with the skid steer, plow, the mowers, trying to free up some room out in the actual area for the bus mechanic to be in there. So that's basically the purpose of that is storage and keep stuff out of the weather. So including the 9-passenger vans for the school district.
And do we vote on that? I just wanted I just don't remember, and I didn't want to go back through all the
We did not vote on
tapes
that.
on that.
So we did not
video.
vote on that as the board voting on that to be procured.
So we didn't have to go get any bids on that or anything, or I don't know. I did.
There could be bids that were done, but they wouldn't have been presented to us to be voted on.
Did we hire somebody to do the work, or did Mr. Bird and like a group of Bethel people help you, or?
No, that was through the company that we got the package from, actually did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, put it up to.
Oh, okay.
Support of it.
Was it I'm just curious, was it local company or?
Miami County, yeah.
Okay.
Right? You have any questions on it? No. Except when watching with us, so thank you for joining us. All right, so next up is executive session. I know that there was one already requested for number one. That was, is that correct? For personnel. Do we have any others besides item one? No. You think after executive session, your item would it require us to make a resolution?
No.
Do we have a motion to enter into executive session? Lida?
Yes, I'll second.
Thank you, Julie, for the second. Lida for the motion, Julie for the second. Discussion. Based on the information provided, there's currently at this time no thoughts of making a vote or resolution after the executive session. Any other discussion? Taking the vote, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Reese,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes.
Mr. Elam,
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yeah.
All right, we will be moving into executive session at 8:36 p.m. I'd like to thank everybody for coming.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
I can't wait to see the Thanksgiving.